As a person's dementia progresses, they will need more help with everyday activities such as washing and bathing. For most adults, washing is a personal and private activity, so it can be hard to adjust to this change. Hello, I'm Hannah, and in the first episode of this two-part podcast, I speak to Helpline Supervisor Sian about helping a person with dementia with personal care. What is personal care and why is it so important?
Personal care is a term used to describe activities like washing, dressing and going to the toilet. It's a really important part of caring for someone with dementia because personal hygiene can impact on health, and also a good standard of personal care is helpful in maintaining dignity. It can be a really difficult subject for families to talk about, and sometimes it leads to distress and frustration both for carers and people with dementia.
What can be some of the first signs that someone might need help with personal care?
Over time, a person with dementia may start to struggle with what's called executive function, which means the processes in the brain that allow a person to do lots of different things, including concentrate, plan, organise, and see a task through from start to finish. Even tasks that seem very simple often have a lot more steps than we might first realise. So just thinking about all the steps in your own morning routine, from getting out of bed, going to the bathroom, having a shower, choosing clothes, each of those stages can be broken down into lots of individual actions. And these are all things that most of us do without much thought, but for a person with dementia, as their condition deteriorates, they'll find it more and more difficult to remember each of the steps and which order they should happen in. And of course, one step forgotten or done in the wrong order can throw the whole routine off course. But you might notice someone forgetting to wash or being reluctant to. They may not dress appropriately, so they may be wearing clothes that are not warm enough in the winter or are too warm in the summer. They may have difficulty with lining buttons up correctly or may put things on inside out or back to front. They may not want to change their clothes at all. Men may stop shaving or shave unevenly, and women who've always worn makeup may stop or put it on less carefully than they used to. And you might also notice hair being left longer between cuts or looking unkempt.
What particular challenges can a person with dementia face when they begin to receive personal care?
It very much depends on the person. Some people may find it difficult to accept help because due to their difficulties with memory and confusion, they may not recognise the need for help. They may be convinced that they have washed and dressed just as they always have in the past. So when someone tells them they need to have a shower or put on clean clothes, this can make them feel very defensive and upset and even angry. Sometimes people do recognise that they need help, but they may feel embarrassed to allow another person to help them in such an intimate way. It's rarely easy to accept a loss of independence, and it can be a big blow to a person's pride. Like anyone, people with dementia may feel more motivated to get washed and dressed if they have a reason to, so maybe the person you're caring for would be more eager to look their best if they were expecting to go out shopping or to a social group, or if they have a friend visiting.
What can you do to make the process easier on the person with dementia?
Well, it's about considering the person as an individual and doing what helps them to feel the most comfortable. So as a carer, you might need to think about establishing a regular routine, or it may be better to be very flexible. And for some people, they may prefer a family member that they trust to help them, or for others, it may be more comfortable to have a professional carer helping them in a more detached way. Because personal care involves intimate areas of the body, it's really important to think about the way that you provide the care and how you can protect the person's dignity.
What can a person delivering the care do to make it a bit easier on themselves?
Well, it can help to think about the situation from the point of view of the person with dementia. So a carer's stress can be picked up by the person with dementia and in turn make them feel more anxious and flustered. So try to allow as much time as is practical for supporting personal care so that you can take it at their speed. You may sometimes need to accept that it is the person's choice not to wash or dress. If you're not able to be thorough every time, try to focus on the hands and face and intimate areas, as these are the most important areas for hygiene and health.
What are some of the best strategies for getting a person with dementia to accept help with personal care?
Some people feel more comfortable if there's chatting and joking. Some may be calmed by some music. Or maybe you can try and make it all feel like a special occasion, with the bathroom looking a bit like a spa with candles and scents, if that's something that they might like. Or other people may prefer to just be very practical about it. You could try explaining gently what you're about to do and then talking them through it so that the physical contact doesn't come as a surprise and so they can have the chance to cooperate. If someone's living alone and staying in the same clothes for days or weeks, you could check whether they're changing for bed. If they are, this may be an opportunity to wash the clothes. If they're not changing for bed, are they going to bed? Maybe they're falling asleep on the sofa or in their chair because they're confused about bedtime, or they're not sleeping well, or they're not feeling confident to move between rooms. If they are waking up out of bed and fully dressed, this may confuse them into thinking that they must have washed and dressed already. Whatever the cause of the reluctance, try not to get frustrated, as this may be more likely to upset both of you than to persuade them to cooperate. As a carer, it's important to recognise your own needs too. It can be very upsetting to see a loved one's attitude to hygiene and appearance change, and it may be that you need some emotional support to help you accept this.
And what are the best ways to approach personal care?
Well, sometimes a very direct approach, telling someone they need a shower, can cause a defensive reaction. It can be more effective to try tactful and gentle persuasion. So it may not be helpful to single the person out as needing help, but maybe make it more something that you need to do and to phrase it in a positive way. So you could try saying something like, "I've just finished in the bathroom, so I've run you a bath." Or maybe, depending on the situation, you could try something like, "Wasn't it hot last night?" or "Wasn't it muddy in the garden? So I'll pop the shower on for you."
What sort of aids are available for personal care, and which ones are particularly good?
Well, for some people, high bath sides and slippery floors might be really daunting, so it can be helpful to request a referral to an occupational therapist to advise whether there are adaptations that might make the bathroom more dementia-friendly and suitable for any mobility needs. So maybe grab rails or a walk-in shower or bath. There are also the methods of washing to consider. If someone has always been used to having a bath, they may prefer not to use a shower, or vice versa. And if they've always been used to having a bath, they may feel safer with the water not as deep as they may have had it when they were more independent. Sometimes people with dementia find having shower water spray onto their face is uncomfortable and distressing, so it may be that they would be more comfortable using a handheld shower or having their faces washed with a soft flannel and a bowl of water. And if someone with dementia is extremely resistant to washing at all, you could try antibacterial products like wipes or evaporating hand wash on the person's hands to keep them hygienic between washes. If the person's able to do things for themselves, it's usually better that they do. They may need support, but they may not need to have everything done for them. With dressing, at first the person may just need prompts to get dressed and reminders of where to find items of clothing. So try not to be critical of how the person carries out the task. You may need to step in if it's not happening at all, but try not to get frustrated if it's not being done exactly as you would have done it. Unless there's a risk to safety, it's more important that the person with dementia feels a sense of achievement and dignity at having done something themselves than that it's done perfectly every time. But research seems to show that people with dementia are more likely to retain skills for longer if they're encouraged to be independent as much as possible.
For more information, please visit alzheimers.org.uk or call the National Dementia Helpline on 0300 222 1122 and listen to part 2 of this podcast, which deals with incontinence and the changing dynamics for carers when a person with dementia's needs increase. Thank you for listening to the Alzheimer's Society podcast.